Okay, shiny opals. Good to know that this is what voice to text looks like. Hello, everybody. Good evening. How are you? We hope you're doing well. I cannot get this TikTok out of my head from
Dimension 20.
I know it's Dimension 20. I don't even know which episode, which like skit that is.
I believe it's the first season of Fantasy High.
It's just the whole, you guys want to make some bacon speech, and then this TikTok has done it over the who in here wants to start a riot track.
Put it in the
Spider-Man.
chat.
Okay, yes.
Put it
here.
in the chat.
Here it is. Here's a nice.
We have. I got Margaret. I may have mentioned last week. I got Marguerite a Dimension 20 login for her birthday.
That's the wrong link.
Yes, just for her.
Yes, just for her.
And I wouldn't say it's become our entire personalities, but it's become a major part of them.
There we go. Let's try that. Does that work better? That works better. Hello, and I found something to relax with. Yay!
And there's hundreds of hours of it.
It's watching these poor bumbling fools try to figure out how to survive in a cyberpunk-esque space universe. And it is so delightful, and I enjoy it so very much.
There was an entire episode we watched yesterday that takes a hard left turn into digital sentience and citizenry rights.
Which made me start weeping uncontrollably. That is absolutely my weak spot. I just lost it. It's the most worthwhile streaming service if you like game shows.
You two would kick ass at it. Oh, that's terrible news.
Yes, I meant the junk mother, I'm weeping, and Emily is so good. Oh, Emily is so good. But that whole sequence, I'm crying. I can't handle this. This is so wonderful.
Everything two of the players, Emily,
and then Barry 9 steals the escape pod, and it's just they're back to the races, and there's art crime, and
everything you need to know about two of the players' relationship is summed up by the fact that they're married, and Murph is allergic to cats, and they have 5 indoor cats and a host of outdoor cats.
Every time Murph goes like this, I just start laughing. I
I am so looking forward to the anarcho-socialist halflings. I can't wait. I can't fucking wait.
Oh, so yes, that has been delightful this entire week, which is good, because it's been a stressful week. It's been a whiplash week.
Has it been a busy week, John?
Yes, it's been a busy week. Yeah, we should like proper. I'm inspired by Dimension 20 to be like, we need like a proper introduction.
Rules.
We should control the fun. Stop it. But like, we should have like a slightly more formal intro of, hi, I'm Marguerite. He's Alistair. We do 3 things on this channel. We used to talk about them a lot, but these days we just kind of log in and start blabbing at you, which nobody seems to mind terribly much. But rules help control the fun. So, I can say anything I want right now because he's drinking something and he can't interrupt me. I feel like I should either tickle you or say something that will make you spit tank. But it's my desk, and
great.
I would have to clean it up. So maybe not. Right? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another thrilling episode of Dimension 20. Right? It's kind of like the Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License kind of splurge. Right?
And Wendy, this is the first joke for you of the evening. There will probably be several.
And I'm glad you're here. I know you have bandwidth that you use right now, so thank you for joining us.
I have said that so many times. I hear Chaz and Dave doing Cockney piano at the end of it. 4.0 International Non-Distribution License. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Every time.
Very well. But hello, I'm Marguerite. He's Alistair. We do
Welcome
a lot of fun things. That we do 3 things on this stream.
Well, we technically do 3 things. Right now we kind of do 2.
We do 3 things. Normally we do 3 strings and a lot of tangents. So now we're down to 2 and a lot of tangents, so that's kind of like 3.
And it might expand back out. We don't
know. New math. There we go. What are the 3 things?
Well, normally we do an opening monologue. This is a chance for you to get situated. Make sure you have food. Make sure you've hydrated. This is a rehydration salt. Use them.
Drink more, drink.
Drink more, drink.
Yes. Because the day has been horribly humid and dehydrating, which has not been fun.
Get comfortable, make sure the pets are watered, make sure the Rumba's successfully entertained, all of that good stuff. And then we will jump into the main body of the show. I think we should start calling it main presentation or something like that.
The main event.
The main event.
Ding, ding. This event is scheduled for 3... Anyway.
Which this week is going to be the final section of There Is No Antimemetics division by the amazing Quantum.
Folks.
Brace for feels. This is Fieldy.
this is feelsy. Perhaps get some tissues.
We have. And by we, I mean
something to cuddle or dab your eyes with as the event progresses. I'm just warning everybody in advance. Starter cheese, main cheese, and after cheese.
An aperitif.
No, aperitif is before, isn't it? Or is that a digestif? I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look.
She's talking.
Bit more cheese. Ooh, cheese, a little more cheese, a bit more cheese, too much cheese. Ooh,
bit more cheese.
Just a bit more cheese. Yes, exactly. Now I have to look up whether it's aperitif or digestif that comes first or
bugging
after.
You.
It's because it's gonna bug me, and it's your fault. There we go.
Nothing.
So yes, that is the ding ding, the main event. And then afterwards we have a bit more cheese, i.e. something fun and lighthearted called shenanigans.
We need title cards, don't we? Now it's time for a bit more cheese.
Ducky, would you write that down for that for me? Thank you very much. I love commissioning fan artists to make us fun things for the stream. Yay! Anyway, we do a little bit of shenanigans at the end of the evening so that after we are done reading you Nightmare Fuel, you do not go to bed on Nightmare Fuel because that's where nightmares lie. So, bit more cheese title cards. Yes, exactly. I want them very much. There we go. Cheese, the main food group. It is in December, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, we have
cheese and twiglets, la la la.
Obviously, we just so need a cheese and wine evening stream. We should do that. We should put out a sample menu and just be like, hi, this evening we are going to do wine and cheese. And by cheese, we mean whatever type of fatty indulgent food that you enjoy, and by wine we mean whatever sort of beverage you like to pair it with.
You know Naomi does the Holden Ellison type stream, right?
The what?
Holden Ellison, legendary science fiction author, moderately terrible human being.
Charcuterie casts. Charcuterie boards.
Man made entirely of trauma, but I choose to believe fundamentally good core. Ellison did live appearances in bookshop windows. And what he asked them to do was clear the window, the desk and a typewriter in there, and he'd just start writing. And as he got to the end of a page, he'd stick it to the window in front of him.
What a cool... That's a total performance bed.
Right?
Oh, I like that.
And Naomi does the live stream equivalent of that. She regularly just has a live stream on in the background while she's writing season 2 of
The Gilda. When Shitpost was transcribing the script of the B movie, they would do live streams of things like that. I don't know if alcohol is allowed to be consumed on stream. I would imagine as long as you're of age and not doing it to excess, that would be fine. But let's put that on the list of things to look up. That's a very good question.
Also, I don't really drink, so I mean, What?
Okay. You like your little girly drinks with the umbrellas, and the old fashions are all mine.
But they make me happy. They got umbrellas
They do
in
make
them.
him happy. He does
in a past life, I was briefly a terrible bouncer in that I was very polite, and
makes the job rather ineffective.
Would you mind awfully not hitting him? Thanks. We were paid in a pittance and a free drink, and without exception, the entire bouncing team, of which I was the smallest human.
The bouncing team. I love that name.
Had the frothiest drinks you could possibly imagine. Every fucking one of us. All had Baileys or
Baileys shots.
Or, was it gooey? Was an egg involved? Was it a funky color? That was what they'd have.
I liked my drinks like I liked myself, fruity and strong. I mean, that's valid. That's totally valid. I kind of want to do let us have an indulgent evening. I had 2 stories about this. Okay, first of all is my favorite event for December, the entire month of December.
I get the tangent sirens for this type of stuff, but you don't. Okay. I see how it is.
Do you need me to teach you where the buttons are?
Yes, that would be lovely. Thank you.
Fine. Are you happy now?
Lovely.
There we go.
Please
there
continue.
were tangents alarms. I am now going on 2 perfectly timed and contained tangents. Tangent number 1. My favorite event during the entire month of December is when we go and do the big Christmas shop and we buy all the cheese. And I especially like the little individually ones that are all wrapped in wax for no particular reason.
Tell them what you call it.
Well, this event is named after an old card game. called Fridays. It was written by James Ernest right before Cheap Ass Games was a big thing. And basically you played zombies who worked at fast food restaurants. And you had a whole handful of ingredients, and your job was to try and make orders as they were called out. But as you didn't have enough of the ingredients, as the term would go around, you could do substitutions or drop ingredients. And you would call one of the ingredients when it was your turn, hoping that you would have the cards in your hand to fill it before anybody else did. And the Christmas menu for Fridays had one of the ingredients were things like bird meat, cow meat, fish meat, buns, cheese, burger, fries and drinks, and the one pie. And there was a dish they would called the Adoration of the Baby Cheeses, which was just 3 pieces of cheese. So every year for Christmas, we celebrate the Adoration of the Baby Cheeses. That was tangent number 1. I will now quickly attempt to remember what tangent number 2 was.
You got this. I believe in you.
I was talking about cheese, and the other one had to do with alcohol, I think. But I can't remember what it is anymore.
Did it involve mead by any chance?
No, but mead is good. I am a fan of mead. But I do like the idea of, oh, yes! My other favorite tradition when I lived closer to my relatives and they were not on the other side of an ocean was on the day after Thanksgiving in the US, you have a million trillion leftovers. And what we would do is all my cousins, so all kind of like the peer age people, would show up at my house with all their leftovers and in their pajamas.
And there's like 75 of them. So.
Well, no, I mean, within driving distance, there's about a dozen, so it wasn't all that bad. And we would watch all 3 extended Lord of the Rings movies all day long. That's all we do. We'd sit around in our pajamas, eat leftovers from Thanksgiving, and watch the 3 extended Lord of the Rings movies. This concludes my 2 self-contained tangents. You may proceed.
Just as a sidebar to all of this, both myself...
Sidebar! Hey! I call tangent. Go ahead.
Both myself and the other family brother-in-law in all but name do refer to Thanksgiving Day as Fuck Off Puritan Day.
I thought that was the 4th of July.
I think it might be the 4th of July.
Independence Day, they call it.
Yes.
He refers to it as Fuck Off Puritan's Day. I mean, I think that's essentially what I did for my not actual hen do. I mean, it's perfectly valid, an annual tradition. National Leftover Day is the best day, right? Exactly. Read the Cask Amontillado while having wine and cheese on stream. That sounds like a very good pairing. Haha. Okay.
Especially if we do it as Burton early.
I'm also wearing pair of perfume, so, you know.
I thought you smelled nice tonight.
I keep missing National Leftover Day due to travel. I love being in Ireland with my friends, but I miss the leftovers. I mean, there are a lot of Americans in Ireland these days.
There are.
You know, I'm sure you can find people to be like, hey man, you got leftovers. I'll give them a good home. I'm sure that would work well. So, tonight we are going to finish...
There is no Antimemetics division.
That's correct. And then we're all going to have a little cry, I think.
Possibly during.
Yes, that is accurate. And then we're going to do some shenanigans. I think that is the plan. And then next week...
We're talking to Quantum.
We're going to have a good chat with Quantum about all of the stuff that they've put us through and where all these brilliant ideas came from. And there's so much more. Apparently, there's a lot of other SCP stuff just in general, but we'll talk a little bit more about where you can learn more if you like. And then we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do next. Mm-hmm. And I think we'll do a poll. We'll probably do a game or read a thing poll, and we'll go from there because we've got a couple of options for each.
I forget the number, but sincerely, one of my favorite SCPs. Well, the 2 that have lingered in my mind. The pseudo Stargate one, which goes through to a ruined version of Earth inhabited by colossal hollow-headed giants, which was terrifying, and the communist spider tree. Communist. There is a communist spider enclave that all lives in one tree.
Yay / ew.
They're actually kind of adorable.
Really?
Yeah, it's
like Adrian Tchaikovsky's Children of Time.
Very Tchaikovsky-esque. They're just little guys who believe in the power of the collective good.
Nice. I've heard of Communist Spider SCP, but I've never read it. There we go. Nice.
Cool.
So is there anything else we need to cover before we get started?
Other than infinity content warnings.
Yes. We will cover all the many. I can't stop yawning.
Because you're tired, because you've been working incredibly hard for 8 billion months.
Yes, well, that's not gonna... The shitpost calligrapher is an SCP, supposedly? Really?
Dude.
Ooh, I need to know more about this, for sure. Yes, but it's not like the billion trillion things I need to do is ever going to go away, so you just get used to it.
I recount and disprove and eschew every setup, every single one of those. They will all go away. All the
things will conclude.
Yes.
Entropy of the universe is a given. But in the meantime, I really want Twyla to get her invisibility ring. What can I say? Okay? I'm heavily invested in this. There we go. I think that's everything for right now. I mean, we could do an opening monologue, but I don't really think we need one, to be honest.
I kind of like the idea of going back to that after next week, using this as a talking in many ways about your kind of slight stylistic shift thing that you wanted to do.
Yeah. I
kind of like the idea of if we do long form like this, it's just an opening, long form, and closing. And then when we're doing games and stuff, then we have the opening monologue on the top too.
Okay. I'll allow it.
I thought you might.
It's a rule. It's controlling the fun. I'll take it. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. I did think about one other thing we need to talk about, and that is I have a bone to pick with the chat. First of all, the chat is not showing up, which is very strange. Can I send a test message really quick? Maybe it is, and it's just... No, it's there. I'm just not paying attention to it on the actual screen.
It's fine.
Why didn't y'all tell me that Lonely Eyes has like an official week of the year, and that we're now in it?
Do I need to get the hat?
I was not aware of this development, and this is very important to my personal knowledge and gathering of fan art for this stream. Speaking of which, I don't know if we did the button with the thing, if we said thank you for the fan art that was up this week. Oh, look, I actually designed something for this. I can talk about it now. Watch.
Dude.
Oh, but the text is over my face. I gotta fix that. Hold on a second. Let me write that down. But look, I built this a little screen where we can put the fan art up and talk about it. I did not know that apparently this is Lonely Eyes Week. The post that this comes from says that it is the July 17th through the do math 24th. And I did not know that. So I guess we're all learning this, and you'll all send me your things.
So
yes.
If I was perhaps also to point out that this year in particular, Lonely Eyes Week falls in the same week as Barbenheimer. You're welcome.
Well, we've already had at least one of the Barbie and Ken mugshot meme of Peter and Elias, for sure. But, Elias's Destroyer of Worlds just kind of writes itself, is what I'm saying. Yes, I know. Thank you very much, Wendy. I'm reading it down right now. Fixed text in image scene. Yay, thank you very much. But yes, I built us a way to be able to talk about the fan art quite easily because I am a genius.
You're
amazing.
Thank you very much. Whereas my brain is just going, Martin, I seem to have become Death, Destroyer of Worlds.
Like you wouldn't be Barbie.
I know.
I mean... I don't think it's on yet. Wait, hold on. I must investigate. It says here, Lonely Eyes Week. But, maybe this was just posted on the 17th of July. When is Lonely Eyes Week? When does it occur? I must know. It just, there's a hashtag, but there's no dates. I need the dates, please, people. Okay, congratulations. You all have homework. Next week,
yes,
please report.
Well done.
Patch. Next week, please report back in on when Lonely Eyes Week is for 2023 so that I can update my Tumblr alerts appropriately. There we go. I think this is an announcement and the dates will be soon. Oh, good. I hope they do a calendar again because, that reminds me.
There's a Lonely Eyes Week 2023 Twitter account.
Twitter account? Hold on.
I'm DMing it to you.
It says no results. Okay. You've DM'd this to me. Oh, there it is. Okay. Hold on. I'm putting the link in the chat. There we go. What to pack? Ooh, Ooh.
Adorably, their Twitter banner art is just a black image, an old-fashioned kind of movie framework with an eye at the bottom and the word Zoom.
Oh, that's 2022, but it was in September. I'm going to follow this person, and I hope I don't freak them out by doing so. But more, please. Yes, thank you.
That is, by the way, one of my favorite things, that from time to time we will follow a Magnus Archives TikToker, and we will get a response which is basically some variation of this.
Yes, I do love the you popping up and commenting in some TikTokers' feeds, and then the little reaction video of, what are you doing here? It just warms my heart. It really does. They do. All right, why don't we take a quick little break then? We're a little early, but that way we hopefully won't get interrupted between the chapters.
Cool.
And get yourself a snack if you need one. You might want something to cuddle, I'm just saying. And we'll do an ad break real quick, and we will be right back. The real horror was the meeting, Hawkeye. You know that, right? Okay. Right. So before we get started, let us do a couple of things. First of all, let us talk about the content warnings, because there are many. Did you just? Really?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Headline content warnings, which are not detailed and you may need to investigate and which may contain spoilers, are common phobias, death and dying, horror themes, mental health and trauma, socio-political themes, Violence, drug use, smoking, and swearing. Again, you can find detailed content warnings which may contain spoilers at the link. If you have missed any of the previous episodes, you can visit them there at that link. There is a collection of them in the chat. I'm not sure who is sending us Ko-fis and giving us little rewards right now, but thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're very kind.
There's also a Dramatis Personae for Antimemetics division, but I'm not sure how up to date it is at this point, but it may serve as a nice memory refresher if you need it. This evening, we're going to be starting on the chapter entitled Tombstone. At your convenience.
All memetic horror aside, Wheeler thought Site 41 seemed like a pleasant enough place to work, at least above ground. Decently spacious, if unattractive. Offices, large windows, plenty of natural light, scenic forest views. Safe. Site 167 is a hostile, sprawling industrial wasteland. 4 square kilometers of secure containment warehousing, research laboratories, and administrative offices. Wheeler is put in mind of a fossil fuel power plant. The buildings are grim, functional, and aggressively unattractive. There is no greenery. The ambient noise in the complex is a harsh roaring. It was built on a flat plain, and the wind races down concrete canyons and past sharp building edges. Just over half of the site, Wheeler discovers, has been erased from the face of the Earth by an orbital laser strike. There is an edge where the intact buildings and roads abruptly end, and beyond that edge there is nothing but blackened, level wreckage. Wheeler guesses that the laser shut down mid-redaction when the site's antimemetic warhead was triggered, but he can't be sure of the exact chain of events. It doesn't matter. It doesn't significantly harm the odds. What he's looking for is below ground.
Wheeler is at his limit. He has traveled too far, and he has been traveling for too long. He cannot exist in 3125's universe for much longer, sane. Oops. It is all still happening, and the fragile responsibility of being the only one alive who can do anything to stop it is like a steadily tightening vice around his skull. He is exhausted, and slowly losing his vision to bright migraines and dismally lonely. No more detective work, no more sights. This needs to be the end. Between buildings 8 and 22E, there is a vertical access point, a 30-meter wide hexagonal shaft with a yellow gantry crane across its mouth. The shaft was used for lowering construction machinery and materials into the site's extensive underground complex. The shaft is so wide and deep that it has strange effects on the movement of air near its lip. It feels to Wheeler as if it's trying to pull him down. There are metal stairs lining the inner wall of the shaft. He descends and then follows his map into Site 167's underground complex. Unlike Site 41, this was certainly not a safe site. There are warning signs everywhere, many of whose symbols Wheeler cannot immediately parse. Very soon he begins to encounter heavy bulkheads sealed with electronic locks. Marion Wheeler's security pass opens them every time. Containment Units S167 006183's airlock is identical to the one he encountered at Site 41, just as the architectural diagram suggested. The only difference is that this airlock is still visibly airtight, no holes. Wheeler swipes his card through the reader with a shaking hand. The door cycles open, revealing a sterile white antechamber, stale atmosphere after years of disuse. He stands in the middle, waiting for the second half of the cycle. This is it. His heart is pounding. It's not good for him. He doesn't have a heart condition that he knows of. But how would he know? Every living cardiologist is in hell. He asks himself the final, worrying question for the final time.
But if you're here, Dr. Hughes, and you've built the machine, and the machine works, why didn't you come out?
He answers himself as a kind of inoculation against the bad news he knows is coming.
Because the machine doesn't work. Because you couldn't build it. Because you're dead.
The inner door cycles open.
The atmosphere in the vault is tropically humid and thick enough to taste. It tastes unpleasantly organic, like lymph or some other obscure bodily fluid. There are overhead floodlights, of which perhaps 1 in 10 are still shining. There is junk everywhere. To Wheeler's left, there is a rough semicircle of monolithic auto factories, each 6 or more meters tall, with piles of fabricated junk around them. Furniture, tools, food containers, hard foam bricks, circuit boards, spools of fabric. To his right, stacked, stretching away along the long, concave wall of the vault, are hundreds of empty shipping containers. He would have to walk for 10 minutes before he found one still containing raw materials. Ahead of him is a 3-meter-tall wall of steel, which curves away to the left and right, enclosing almost all of the vault's floor space. Just visible over the top of the wall, heaving slowly under the weak yellow light, is an immense, sleeping organism. From here, Wheeler can only see the curve of its back, which is a glossy, moist black mottled with green. It is round, almost spherical, like an ice cream scoop of liver taken from a human 2 kilometers tall and dumped into this enormous, and Wheeler gulps as he makes this association, Petri dish. Wheeler does not notice the meter-thick pipes which run from the auto factories over the edge of the dish, and in doing so, providing various necessary liquids. He does spot the tall towers arranged around the organism, spraying a translucent mist down at it from all angles. Suspended from the ceiling to the left and right, roaring continually, are ventilation units as large as houses. There is no one around. Wheeler clears his throat and addresses the room, as loudly as he dares. Is there a Dr. Bartholomew Hughes in here?
Nothing happens. The roaring of the ventilation units continues. The organism continues to heave slowly.
Wheeler raises his voice somewhat. I'm looking for a machine called an...
It wakes up.
A reality amplifier.
The thing turns, pushing huge volumes of fluid around in its dish, enough that a wave of it sloshes viscously over the side of the wall. It lurches up to the wall. As more of it becomes visible, it becomes clear that there is little more to its body plan than what was already visible. Aside from stubby flippers, it is simply a huge, near-spherical lump of biology. It seems to peer eyelessly at Wheeler.
Wheeler concludes that he does not wish to be here. He turns to leave and is startled to discover that the airlock door has closed behind him as silently as it opened. The airlock controls are to one side. He doesn't run, for fear of attracting attention with sudden movement, but he does walk briskly and pulls out his stolen security card again. As he's about to swipe it through the reader, a stringy red web lashes out from nowhere and restrains his wrist, preventing him from proceeding.
Wheeler struggles for a second to pull his arm free, but the webbing is gluey and has a freakish rigidity to it, as if there are bones inside. It won't let him move. He glances back and doesn't get a good enough look at the organism's body to spot where the web originated. The organism has opened its eye now, a single eyeball, tens of meters wide, which must account for a significant fraction of its body volume. It has a vivid pink iris and 4 enormous black pupils. His voice isn't truly audible. It arrives in Wheeler's head like maddening static, a mosquito's whine in stereo.
Do you have it?
Have what?
No, doctor. No machine.
A thinner strand of webbing shoots out, attaching itself to the security pass in Wheeler's hand, plucking it delicately from his fingers. The strand withdraws and holds the pass in front of the organism's eye.
Wheeler. Wheeler says. Yes, it's something of a coincidence, actually.
The strand tightens, lifting Wheeler by his arm. He twirls uselessly, barely able to see what's happening. There is a blur of luminous pink, and he is plunged, screaming, directly into the largest of Bart Hughes' 4 pupils.
The bunker was empty when he got there. His associates were missing. He was forced to presume them dead. And in a rare lapse of forethought, he had neglected to bite off one of his human body's fingers before fleeing the scene of the shooting. With no human tissue sample to work from, he had no way to clone himself a replacement body. He was, he realized, trapped. Wheeler had told him that to protect the cause of the Foundation, he would have to sacrifice much or all of his existence, and she had only been reminding him of something which he had always known, intellectually. Still, he hadn't imagined this, and even if he had, he could never have imagined what this would be like, to experience it from the inside. Several times he came close to quitting. Dysmorphia alone almost killed him. But he had a duty. The problem had to be solved. He attacked it in his germ form for over a year. He developed tools for himself, computer peripherals, writing implements, all adapted for his short but dexterous tendrils. He built miniature chair analogues and other furniture. He developed for himself a little life, a fitness plan, some hobbies even. He slept in baths of nutrient sludge. Before the end of the first month, he had proven to his satisfaction that the counter-meme he was searching for existed beyond the comprehension of human intellect. A human being's mind would figuratively burst into flame upon contact with it, and it was quite possible that their literal body would too, as a violent reaction to the profound, unalterable wrongness of every aspect of the universe around it.
I need a t-shirt that says, I have burst into flame at the profound unwrongness. Yes.
To create the counter-meme, he would need to start from a human carrier of a suitable single-celled base idea, and amplify that idea artificially using a machine. By the second year, he had designed and built enough of the machine to know that the machine could not be built. Theory and practice were diverging too far. Tests were failing in troubling ways, which pointed to fundamental architectural misconceptions. His machine would not and could not do what it was designed to do. He scrapped all of his schematics. He needed a different approach.
There was a struggling figure mounted on the back of his retina, drowning beneath yellow pinpricks of focused light, drawing oxygen from his bloodstream and firing back minuscule thoughts. The figure is losing his mind with fear and revulsion, though he is a little more resilient than he gives himself credit for, and he is adapting.
It's you!
The little man manages to gurgle.
There's no amplifier. You're the amplifier. He sequenced and then reverse engineered his own genetic code. He built life support equipment and re-architected the interior of the vault, which had always been the plan, if not to this extent. He refactored his physiology in stages over the course of years until his brain was of a size and complexity to think monumental, radical, irreducibly complex thoughts. But why didn't you?
The spec asks.
You could have opened the vault at any time. What were you waiting for? Once, while exploring human eideatic space, he saw himself. He created a rudimentary memetic descriptor of himself, refined it, focused, guessed a little, and there he was, a complex of brilliant lights in the shape of a man, amid a swarm of similar people, living and dead and real and fictional. It was fascinating and sobering to see himself in that grand context, from that elevated perspective. He was tiny. He waved. He waved back.
And when he saw himself, he came to understand what he was, what his role was. He was the mad technical genius, the crazed inventor who architects the final weapon. But he was not the one to wield it. The spark, the base idea he needed to amplify, was not in his head, and was not in the vault with him. Mathematically, it never could have been. That was not the shape of things. It had to be delivered by someone else.
The spec stopped struggling. He has looked, with some effort, to his left and right. He has now finally seen that there are other figures mounted here with him on the retina. Older figures who have mostly been interpolated into the membrane, and no longer have independent life or thought. This causes him no small amount of alarm. He says, "By who?"
Hold still.
The spec's brain explodes like a diagram. There's a forest. You want to do this?
Yeah. There is a forest. There is a nice big house in the forest, and a garden behind the house, a trimmed lawn encircled by tall conifers. There is a rough circle of chairs on the lawn, and about 25 people seated or standing around or chatting in groups with drinks and burgers, and there is a queue for the barbecue. There is a tall column of smoke rising from the barbecue. It is an outstandingly beautiful day, and nothing terrible is happening at all.
Adam Wheeler knows he is broken now because he can't accept the scene. It's too sudden and too pleasant to be real. He feels normal. He feels clean and healthy. He gasps and almost cries when he realizes his hand is back.
Someone walks up to him, offering a handshake.
"You must be Adam. It's a pleasure. Bart Hughes."
Hughes is a very youthful 50, short and skinny, with thick-lensed, thick-rimmed glasses and a flurry of graying wild hair. Wheeler shakes his hand more or less automatically. In his other, he has a bottle of beer.
I work at the foundation. Obviously, containment architecture, biomimetics, the whole mess of odd jobs. "Hughes," Wheeler repeats. I was looking for you. Found me. Good job." "What is this?" "I didn't think you'd remember. This is where we met. Originally. I mean, briefly. Shared about 10 words maximum, and I don't remember a single one of those words, and I barely remember you either. No offense. But I remember the barbecue, and I definitely remember that I met you at the barbecue, so I figured it would be a more agreeable setting for the conversation that we need to have."
Wheeler does not recognize the scene, either the location or any of the people.
"This is your memory. Yeah, come on, let's talk."
Hughes leads Wheeler across the lawn and selects a pair of chairs in the sun. He sits and gestures for Wheeler to sit across from him. Wheeler does so uneasily. Hughes rests his elbows on his knees and gathers his thoughts before he begins speaking.
"Adam, you don't have the idea we're looking for, the seed for the countermeme. You're the wrong guy. You would know if you had it. It would be impossible not to know. You would feel electrified by it, driven forward by the high ideal it represented every waking moment. It's what should have brought you here. I don't know how you made it here without it." "I didn't know I was supposed to bring an idea with me. There's no way you could have known," Hughes reassures him. "Nobody exterior to the vault knew. I didn't know it myself until I was already locked in." "This is normal. We form these plans and something unexpected happens and the plans go out the window, and under great pressure, we are forced to demonstrate creativity." Wheeler takes a deep breath. He squares his shoulders. "All right, where is it? I hope it's in North America. I don't want to have to go all the way back to Site 41, but I will, if you can wait that long." Hughes is shaking his head. "You can't do it. Even if it was that simple and there was just a place I could send you to collect it, like takeout. You can't carry an idea like this. You have never had that capability. You don't believe. You've never had to. You're the wrong guy." "So where does that leave us?"
Hughes turns, looking meaningfully towards the barbecue itself. Wheeler follows his gaze. There is a woman tending it, with her back to them, chatting with the people in line for food. She seems to be the center of attention.
"Marion. She had it." Wheeler says, "Well, to speak accurately, there's no singular it. It's a massively diverse space of possibilities. Millions of people in the world had different ideas which could have worked, but she was one of them." "Was. Yeah. She died."
Hughes turns back to face him. He hesitates, drinking some more beer while he chooses his words. He is not a medical doctor. He does not have anything which could be considered a bedside manner.
"Adam, I have been examining your brain. There are layers and layers of damage there, and a lot of it looks deliberate. Some of it may even be self-inflicted. You have had memories suppressed and restored and falsified and erased again, and on top of that, you've survived what should have been fatal exposure to SCP-3125, and You've been through a great deal of completely non-anomalous trauma, so you would be forgiven for not having worked it out by now. The hole in your life. Oh no, I know. With some caution, Hughes asks, what do you know? She and I were married, right? Slowly, Hughes nods. Wheeler says, I got there eventually. It felt stupid and obsessive at first to draw that conclusion. Self-absorbed, but there were all these facts. And they all fit. And at the end of the day, I just had to accept it. Hughes asks, and how do you feel about that? Wheeler interlocks his fingers distractedly. He doesn't know. He doesn't know if he wants to know. He's afraid to know. So what if we were married? What does that give me? It's over. It's all gone. Could be, Hughes says. What was she like?
Hughes holds something out to him. It is an auto-injector pin, a stubby, luminous orange cylinder with a pointed cap concealing a needle. There is a fat black Z printed on its side. Wheeler recognizes it. In fact, he recognizes it as his own, but he finds himself not able to recall where he acquired it, or for how long he's been carrying it. This drug, he knows, will kill him. It will make him remember everything. Everything. And this will kill him, as it does everybody. But he will remember. There is a kind of singing in his ears. The sunlight in the garden is blurring, smearing out. He catches Hughes' eye, and Hughes is smiling ruefully, and his eye has lit up a scintillating gold-white point of light.
This needs to be the end. There are long, long months of fearful migraine wandering. There is the face-to-face back in the school, mediated by the late Daisy Ulrich, so brief and extraordinarily painful that it registers like a gunshot. And then he is enmeshed with an SCP-3125 again, complicit and actively engaged in a darkened, metallic. The drug makes it impossible not to think about what happened, to not stare directly at what he did. Time in there is dilated, stretched to subjective breaking point by the anomaly's mass. It seems to last tens of years. And then the chisel. And after that, for 2 years, he is vacant. He is a suit wrapped around a torn, ragged-edged hole. And then there is Marion, at last, placidly tearing herself out of his life and him out of hers. And then it's hours earlier than that. The very worst moment, his awful sinking realization that she no longer knows who he is. And then it's 2 days before that. It's 6:15 in the morning, October, pre-dawn and freezing cold. Marion is at her car door, about to leave for work, but distracted by something important on her work phone, and Adam is lingering on the porch, seeing her off. He has a work trip of his own tonight and tomorrow night, so this is the last time they'll see each other until... No, this is the last time they'll see each other. This is it. He digs his heels in, dragging the regression to a straining halt. He calls out, Marion! She puts her phone away. She turns around, and it's her. It's the whole of her. She is precisely the way he remembers her. She is the memory, iconic and brilliant.
She smiles at him for a long, ridiculous moment. Do you get it now?
Why you kept me away from all this? Yes!
He goes to her and they kiss, and it's a classic. It's perfect. It's everything either of them remembers. He holds her tightly and she hugs him back, head heights as mismatched as ever. He sniffles. We've had a hell of a time, she states. A simple fact.
Oh, I needed you. I didn't even know how badly. I didn't need you to help me. I just needed to stand aside and let you do the job instead. Marion, your job is lunacy. I 100% understand why you tried to keep me out of this half of your life for so long, and I will never ask about it again.
She looks up at him. It looks like she's about to say something, but the pain in Adam's brain makes itself known again, and he has to break off. The pain is forcing its way forward onto the backs of his eyes. The rate of regression is increasing again. Different memories from all parts of his life are clamoring at him now, and their combined volume is increasing, and it is becoming difficult to think clearly. Marion, though, is part of most of the memories, not a constant. She's evolved and grown over the years, but a common threat, and he focuses on her.
I don't have a lot of time to bring you up to speed, he manages. This isn't real. We're both sharing Bart Hughes' mind right now. I don't know how much you know.
There's an antimemetic monster called SCP-3125. It killed me, and the Division, and the Foundation, and it's now occupying our entire reality. It ruins humans. It's the worst thing that's ever existed. There was no one left but you, and you can't stop it. You can't even look at it. Hughes needs an idea to amplify, so you took a lethal dose of biochemical nemestic to revive me properly because it was the best idea you had at the time. Does that cover it?
Adam grins weakly and with huge relief. His wife has caught up characteristically quickly. Just about. We live in ridiculous times.
She steps back from him. She looks at him and at herself, and at the fictional little scene steadily brightening as the sun rises. And she looks up at the unimaginably gigantic memeplex which she has to kill. Inside its maw, human existence. All humans and all things humans have ever done, said, thought, or been are burning alive. 3125 is in large part the lie that is 3125. It is inevitable and indestructible, but it is a lie. She feels it now. She knows in her bones that she is irreal, an animate memory, an ideal, an abstract. When she started to exist a few moments ago, she was mostly realistic, but she can feel flaws and complexity being stripped away from her. She can see the shape of the idea complex which Hughes is assembling around her. It looks familiar. It looks like a heavily reworked slice through the concept of the Foundation itself. The Foundation's noblest intentions and achievements, at least. The best purpose of its existence, to protect people. To swallow up all the horror, to manage it, to understand it, to keep it under lock and key so people don't have to be afraid. Adam, it's going to work. I can see all the way to the end from here.
That's good, he manages. It's been a long time since I had good news. He falls to his knees. His skull feels as if it is splitting open. She kneels with him. He is seeing things, and the things he is being forced to see are hurting him. SCP-3125 has hacked away at their lives far longer than he knew. They lost so much by the end. He had no idea, and it's not just him, he realizes. It's everyone. He needs to multiply this feeling by billions. You've got to end this thing, she says, the pain rising to a flashpoint. It has to be today. No more.
Adam, listen. It's a different kind of existence up there. I've seen glimpses of it before, but I've never been there. I don't know what it's going to be like, but I know I won't be human anymore. It's already not real. I won't be able to come back. I love you.
There is a burning, corrosive sensation crawling across the surface of Adam's brain. A crackle like cellular automata. No, he says, it's okay. There's not going to be anyone to come back to. It was really good to see you. I love you.
Stand back. She stands back from him. She flexes what could be wings.
You used to sing all the time. It's the first thing you took away from us. I remember.
The launch window opens. There is a kind of ignition, and Marion Wheeler's perspective shifts, and everything seems to shrink, and she is on the ascent. The part of SCP-3125 which was capable of communication has had its brains blown out. There is no longer anything to reason with. There is no quip. There is a song, but it's a song she sings for herself. The thing is titanic in its structure, brain-breaking in its topography. It comes from a space where ideas exist on a scale entirely beyond those of humans. Its wrongness and its self-consistent evil are so profound that it hurts to comprehend. At first, looking directly at it causes stinging, acidic flashes in Marion's eyes, like ionizing radiation. But her perspective is still shifting because she's still ascending. And as she ascends, ceasing to be human, she sees through the adversary and comes to understand instinctively how it is structured and how it is faulty and how those faults can be attacked. It turns to face her. When they meet, what happens is less a fight than it is mathematics. An equation settling at the end of a long, painful stretch of working, a blizzard of canceled terms. In the presence of wild light, vast tracts of 3125 through thought to meaningfully exist, prove not to. It is in the new context which wild light provides an ancient irrelevance. It folds up, limb after branching limb winking out of existence. It releases its grip on everything human. The mathematics is good. It happens in exactly the way Hughes modeled it back in the bunker, using the memetic equivalent of fluid dynamic equations, taking thousands of processor years to simulate. After the finger limbs are gone, a livid red-green eyeball remains. The Foundation Wheeler projection abstract punctures it, lasering straight through it from front to back. A colorless shockwave spreads through the eyeball's interior, another quiet canceling out, leaving bright vacuum behind. Not even particles. And all that is left from the collision is the balance. A final, single, wild proton, outbound to the deepest limits of eidetic space, never to return.
Epilogue. Champions of nothing.
And what have we learned?
It takes 058 a significant amount of time to answer his own question. He speaks with a measured, level tone. He is in no hurry. We have learned that there is time missing from our world, almost a year of extremely recent history. And there are spaces, significant spaces, in every population center which cannot be perceived or entered. The cities are rerouting around them like mountains or radiation zones. And along with that time and that space, we have learned that there are enough people missing without any explanation whatsoever, that if I spent the rest of my considerably augmented lifespan counting them, I could not count to that number. He pauses. And outside of the Nospherics division, he says, no one, not a single person, is even aware of these thefts. Even those in the division who made this discovery cannot recall what happened during that missing time, and no one can enter that missing space. The gap in reality itself can barely be perceived. It is this shocking, blinding absence, this unknown. We have learned, we have cautiously hypothesized that 3 to 4 years ago, an unimaginable anomaly entered our reality, and then, sometime later, it left, taking all of that space and all of that time and all of those people with it. We do not know what it was or what it did. We have tried to find out, but the truth evades my best Nosfericists. The question fights back, as if it doesn't want to be answered, and we do not know why the anomaly left, though my experts say that in the conceptual realm there is evidence, traces, of what could have been a conflict, and in the distance, shining down on us, there is a great new star. He hesitates. Even I don't remember what happened, he continues with his voice lowered, which I personally find deeply alarming. Because this is recent history. Like nearly everybody alive, I must have been there. In some respect, I must have gone through it. But if we have learned nothing else, we have learned this. Humans can walk away from and forget anything. Civilization can go back to normal after anything. He sits in contemplative silence for some time. He stares at nothing. He worries briefly that he really does know the truth, and that there is nothing anomalous preventing him from knowing it. That it's simple denial. But he won't say that aloud. Even here. And I wonder, what was the Foundation's role in this? Were we witness to this anomaly? Were we the ones who defeated it? Did we resist? Negotiate? Participate? We are here now, intact. We are back. To what do we owe that? Do we hide or run? Do we deserve to be back? Have we that right? We failed in our stated objective. These people are gone, and it is useless to pretend that they aren't dead. We failed orders of magnitude harder than we have ever failed before, despite which we remain clandestine and unknown to greater humanity, which means that no one external to the Foundation can ever hold us accountable for our actions, or lack thereof. If what happened at the O5 Council meeting yesterday is any indication, we will certainly never hold ourselves accountable. What happened to those people? To my people? Where are they? No one is just dead. No one is merely passively dead. Death is caused. SCP-55 cannot answer him. He says, his voice rising, these things happen, and we say to ourselves, never again. And 100 years pass, and they happen again. Last time, the time before this one, the time none of us remember, the time for which there is no evidence of any kind, but which I now realize must exist. That time when we told ourselves and each other, we must do better. What did we do? What did we do differently from then on, and why didn't it work? He says, what does the Foundation need to be? Where does it need to be? And how far is that place from here? Can we see it from here? Or is this it? He doesn't know. And after leaving the containment unit, he knows he will not even remember the questions.
Direct observation is harmful to Nima's species. Her mother died when she was a juvenile, killed instantly when a Foundation researcher took a close-up flash photograph of her face. The Foundation thinks her whole species is extinct, wiped out by infertility and disease as an indirect result of obsessively close Foundation study. But they are not extinct. Some of them adapted. They fled across oceans and then inland. They grew thicker antimemetic armor. Nima is a nearly fully grown adult sea gigantus, a massively vertically elongated quadruped, almost a kilometer tall at the shoulder. As 058's motorcade leaves Site 19, she is standing just beyond the site's perimeter with a crumpled metaspider in her mouth. She is unable to perceive the motorcade or the site itself any more than any human Foundationer can perceive her. They only barely walk the same earth. The spider is a 200-meter-long bundle of legs, eyes, and chitin, long body parts dangling from each side of Nima's jaws. The spider convulses ineffectively. It can't escape. It is the last one. The spiders were numerous and tasty, but the ones who walk very slowly have a broad diet. Nima bites down, biting through the last of the spider's legs, which begin an achingly slow tumble to the ground, accompanied by a gout of bug juice. Nima tosses the spider's mauled thorax in the air and catches it in the back of her throat. She gulps it down, mostly whole, still twitching. She raises her head and vocalizes triumphantly, a deafening, inaudible, infrasonic sound. The call carries all the way to her mate and children on the horizon. And that is the end of the book.
God damn, Quantum.
That is the end of
Quantum.
the book. I find 058 fascinating. The fact that some core of him is still like, no, we have messed up so many times in so many ways, and nobody can hold us accountable, and I can't even hold us accountable.
I love how it's a shift from the conversation Wheeler has when she realizes that there's been at least one division prior to hers. Also, that it's no longer called the Antimemetics division.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same conversation, just phrased differently and focused in a different way.
And the way it's phrased, sorry, he's talking, but 5-5 can't respond.
Yeah.
It's almost like another big, gigantic loop. They're just right back there. And Marion's just about to walk in the door. And
yet, different enough. What he can't perceive. Oh, we're so glad you liked it. Thank you for the incredible book, Quantum. The thing I love about that is that he can't perceive that they've won.
Yeah, he just assumes that he's lost because all that they have the ability to attack, again, in the negative, is the damage.
Because all the conversations...
He has to assume they've won, but he doesn't know if this was the cost or... Yeah,
Because
exactly.
all the conversations in Marion's cycle are, this thing is coming, how do we beat it? We haven't last time. All the conversations in 058 cycle are, what just happened?
We know something very, very bad happened, but we don't know what it is.
And he can't quite see that when you ask the question, what just happened? What you're saying is, it's finished happening.
Yeah, exactly. And the kind of implication of the bright new star being...
It's Marion. Or is it 3125?
No. It's one star. How many billions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of stars are there? How many times has this happened?
Dude.
It's the galactic scale that is implied by one new bright star. It's terrifying and horrifying and personal
lovely.
and intense, and it totally got you. Oh!
I read that aloud 4 times today.
To practice?
That was the successful one.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, delightful. Shall we take a little break, everyone? I think, you need some more water.
I need some more water.
And
emotions.
And emotions, and very much the emotions. And because there's I also like the implication of Hughes being that gold-white speck.
Yes.
Like, is the gold-white speck that Marion's trained to make tame and feed?
Is that
like
Hughes?
Is it self-fulfilling, or is it like the thing from the previous try that's trying to destroy the question being asked, because even asking the question brings me 1 to 5. It's just all of these kind of like alignments or near alignments, like just really reinforce the cyclical nature of the narrative. Right, and the anti-meme is kind of Marion and kind of Night Her and kind of a memory, and she's definitely ascending in some form, but how you want to describe that or characterize it is different.
I love how it doesn't hurt. I love how the description of it from her point of view is positive. And it's one of the few times where she is positive. Because that presents us really happy to me. That kind of, I am becoming less real.
I'm irreal. I am an irrational number. And being an irrational thing is going to allow me to confront the irrational thing we need to destroy. Related to the new sphericists, it's kind of funny how people have explicitly, knowingly created multiple SCP departments that coexist, covering parts of the same thing from multiple approaches, because some of them can't perceive each other.
Yeah.
And think about what we learned about Adam's journey Site 41, Site 167, getting into the airlock, meeting Hughes, and then realizing there are other bodies in here. Other people who maybe have tried the same thing, but obviously didn't succeed, or didn't have enough, or had other components that were brought, or that how...
And that being absorbed by Hughes is kindness in this world.
Yeah. A counter-conceptual division. That would be interesting, too. Whew. It's chewy. It's very mentally chewy. You can spend a lot of time going this and that, but that could be this, and that would mean that. Oh, I love it. I love it. Right. Let's take a little stretch break, everybody, and we will come back and chat a bit more and then get into some nonsense. Some niceties.
Some additional nonsense.
Some additional nonsense. Yeah, that's a good question. One of our stream mods has been sharing a question with us for next week for Quantum. We'll be back from the ad in about 10 seconds, but Alistair just had this brilliant idea based on some of the comments you've put in the chat about the fact that there might be organically evolving but redundant systems because the systems can't recognize that the other ones exist. So a counter-conceptual division and an anti-memetics division, and like trying to recruit people from these departments, but they can't be recruited because they work for another department, but they don't know it.
And they've probably been disappeared by that other department. So what you end up presenting a false positive of, why are people in this field vanishing? And they're not. They're actually just being hired by Dave in Building 20.
And there's one librarian out there who's trying to properly catalog it all and going...
I need the filing cards. Just leave me alone.
Would you just call yourself the same thing from day to day, please? You're messing up my system. I gotta redo the tags all over again. This person cannot work for 3 departments at once. It's physically impossible unless it's not.
They get so drunk with payroll. So drunk.
Yeah, it's the Office comedy. Exactly. That was such a long commercial break. I'm going to have to catch the VOD. No worries, KDB. Take it easy. We are just going to do some shenanigans for a little bit. HR records, right? You know, I've just got old paranoia, tongue print here, please, kind of vibes going on for sure. Right, so let's do some shenanigans. Let me find the magical shenanigans buttons. He says, scrolling through millions and millions of buttons.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's all good. We're going to read even more of Shiny Opal's amazing fiction because it is wonderful. And there's a lot of it. And we have a little bit more time for shenanigans than we normally do, which is lovely. The other thing we should just talk about really quick is I think next week after we have a very long, we have a good chat. I don't like be like, you need to be on the line for like 4 hours because we have so many questions.
We got questions.
No. You know. After we have a lovely conversation, when that concludes, well, I think what we'll do is we'll run a poll about what people are interested in for content. Content. I gotta find another word for that. I just no.
The main event.
Another main event.
The attraction.
What different type of cheese would you like? Because we have a couple of.
Oh God, that's it now.
What?
Put up the cheese. Would you like game cheese, fiction cheese?
Game cheese, fiction cheese, the big cheese, the main cheese.
Oh, Shiny, thank you. Yeah, I think and this week's big cheese.
Windy, the big cheese. Okay, the main event, the big cheese. Okay, fine.
Good job, Wendy.
Do you want game-flavored cheese, or do you want more fiction-flavored cheese? Because we have a couple of ideas for each, and we'll let you pick the category, and then we'll get something set up for the time of the next time. But we'll talk about a couple of those.
I think I have a review code for Love Beach, that cyberpunk visual novel. Showed you the trailer. Right,
and we also have, what's it called, Hobbs Barrow or whatever?
Hobbs Barrow, in which
is an M.R. James
style story in which Shogo fights a hill.
Exactly. You know? So, we have game ideas and we have a couple of fiction ideas, and we'll let you pick the bucket and we'll go from there. But in the meantime, working with a coworker who'd rather not work with you. This is another email in the long-running saga from friend of the blog, Cult Guy. Check out his tag here to catch up on his emails, or else you're not going to be able to follow this one.
Dear Abigail, thank you as ever for your responses to my email. I hope you are well. This one is about somewhat mundane matters once more, which I suppose may be a relief to you. It's not really the case for me. You may remember that I've been using details from an illicitly acquired credit card for the past year or so, after the finance department started getting shirty with paying my expenses. Unfortunately, that credit card has now expired, and because it was Eli's, and Eli is now in jail, they have elected not to renew it. I might be able to obtain someone else's card details, but I am concerned this might cause blowback onto whomever's card I would use. I could potentially use Pratt's, but Pratt has been very good at avoiding me. He's quite good at hiding his credit card information.
Because he doesn't know it.
Also, I don't want him to hurt Marvin, my assistants. This leaves me returning to claiming expenses the old-fashioned way. I'm sure from the professionalism and minimizing crime point of view, this is an improvement to my routine. However, in order to claim my expenses, the latest policy to cut down unnecessary expenditure is that I need my manager to sign off on them. My manager is, of course, Pratt, whom I've never even met. He's lying. He is a lying boy. He's lying. The obvious solution is to email Pratt's assistant, who signs off most of his paperwork these days. I am given to understand Pratt's assistant, who is Marvin, has asked me not to contact him. Is this okay for me to do? Obviously, I need the money, but I am trying to respect Marvin's boundaries. Thank you for any answer, Cult Guy.
Dear Cult Guy, I can understand why this one feels like a bit of a conundrum for you, and I do sympathize. Truthfully, from a professional point of view, the answer is quite simple. While your colleagues are well within their rights to ask you to limit discussions to workplace-related matters only and avoid talking about personal topics, they cannot request you do not talk to them about work. The watch out here is that some people can use this as an excuse to make personal overtures that aren't wanted, and I caution you to be mindful of that. In this case, I would recommend that you email both Pratt and Marvin in one email with your expense forms. Don't include any forms of address, salutations, inquiries as to health, anything that you wouldn't comfortably include to both, i.e. a bland, hope you are well, may be acceptable if that's typical, but how are you, Marvin, is not. Just be factual, confirm this is how you plan to deal with expenses from now on, unless they point you to another method. Either Marvin or Pratt may reach out individually and say expenses should go through them singly, or offer some alternative if their desire for no contact is that severe that even professional emails are not permitted. If you have to chase up on this due to documents not being filled in or expenses not being paid, follow up on this email as a first port of call. From a professional point of view, I am concerned about Pratt declining contact with you. I assume this is related to his cult being different to your cult. It does not, however, appear as though you lack significant enough authority to manage simple things like your own expenses, whilst also not having a reliable manager. Typically, I'd also be concerned about things like appraisals, although I suspect you're primarily concerned not at the moment with career development. If you can get any sort of email response to the expenses query, it might be worth pushing for an exception to the rule or some sort of like more regular, reliable point of contact. P.S. I can't help but be glad you're not committing credit card fraud anymore. Sorry, but hooray.
Honestly, I'm disappointed. I was loving the fraud.
For fuck's sake, I come here for professional advice on how to extort your employer.
I don't think I've actually extorted my employer yet, to be fair.
It's an idea, though. You must have something you can use by now.
I wish. I like to think of it less as fraud and more as being paid several long overdue bonuses.
And combat pay.
Frankly, if I got combat pay, I'd be a millionaire.
I don't want to rain on anyone's parade unnecessarily, but I do find your attitude baffling. You've talked repeatedly about the danger and potential death you're in and how you supposedly work with murderers, but you have absolutely no hesitation about stealing money from them like it's all a big joke. It doesn't make sense to me. I've had a boss I was terrified of, and I didn't set a foot out of line.
There's only so many times your life can be threatened before white-collar crime loses the adrenaline rush.
And you're not worried someone will read this and think they can get away with this at their own place of work?
Very well. For all the children reading at home, I don't recommend credit card fraud unless you're stealing from a bastard who deserves it. And he's probably going to kill you anyway. Fucking hell. Cold guy, no.
Cold guy, no! Hey, OP, have you spoken to Marvin at all since the drunken incident?
No. I'm doing my best to respect the distance he's asked for. It's hard to just sit and wait for him, but if that's what I need to do, then I will.
Oh, you're waiting. That's so romantic.
Do you have to put it like that, good lord?
I'm crossing my fingers for you.
Oh, I hope he realizes he's got you.
Are you sure he's waiting for you?
No. Maybe. No. It doesn't matter. I'm not doing anything. I'm just doing my job.
It's just a bit nice guy to sit around hoping he changes his mind, isn't it?
I'm not sitting around pining at his door, for Christ's sake. There was one drunken incident. I am working, so I can do what I can when he enacts his plan to do the thing he's doing. I am trusting him to be working against the cult he's joined. That's what I mean by waiting. If he's still romantically interested in me after all of this, well, I'll be very lucky. If he's not, then I won't be surprised, but I hope maybe we can be friends again. That's all.
We love you, cult guy. Hey, Pete. While you are technically experiencing one of the pitfalls of close friendships and romantic relationships with coworkers, I don't want to swoop in with "I told you so," because I do think a lot of your situation is related to the utterly bizarre nature of your employment. Obviously, if you and Marvin do find a way through this, many of these pitfalls do still apply. However, your responses in this time, drunken mistakes notwithstanding, have shown that you appear to be very respectful of Marvin's boundaries, despite what must be a significant temptation not to be. And for that, I think you can pat yourself on the back. It might not seem like much, and you might not be happy about it, but I'm pretty sure Marvin is grateful for this.
Maybe. I can't help but wonder if I had perhaps woken from my coma earlier, what might have been different.
Hey, cult guy! What was the weirdest thing you ever expensed, and how did you justify it?
Oh, I don't know if I bought anything truly weird. Weird for a business expense, certainly, as I've been increasingly using the card to make personal purchases for the team now that we live around the office. I bought a lot of bedding and towels, luxury hair products for 4 different types of hair, some board games, a digital radio. Dahlia is a fan of a specific terrible program, a selection of nail polish, some books, hot water bottles, a large stuffed dinosaur, 2 small stuffed cats, a wine subscription box, a lot of delivery meals, luxury office furniture, etc., etc.
Jesus Christ, Sophie.
Can we see pictures of the cuddly toys?
Please!
What's your favorite nail polish color? Obviously purple.
Damn, buddy, are you gonna pay for all that yourself now?
We might have to eat less organic food. This is so fucking good. But by the way, there is no voice on earth in which you can do more just vile disgust than John on large stuffed dinosaur.
Dinosaur. Dealing with an unexpected extra piece of work with big consequences for failure. This letter is another one from a frequent emailer affectionately known as Cult Guy, since he works in a cult and has a probably not surprising number of workspace problems. If you've never read any of his emails before, click here to look through his tag and get some context for the story.
Oh, dear Abigail, I hope this email finds you well. I am having an issue where the nature of my job, as it's meant to be, scholarly, respectable, dull, is in conflict with the nature of my job as it actually is. Cults. Murders. Biohazards. My organization has an internationally recognized certification for our methods and compliance in certain aspects. In order to gain and retain this certification, we must occasionally submit to the ordeal of external audits from the certification board.
They're getting ISO'd! Oh my god!
These audits require normal, non-cult affiliated human beings to enter our offices for a period of up to a week.
Oh, Jesus God!
Inspect our financials, our procedures and processes, and our various other documents proving we are on the up and up in certain specific areas. We are obviously not on the up and up in any particular areas that I am aware of, and as you may have surmised, the auditors are apparently due in. According to the department manager WhatsApp chat that they have forgotten I am in previous years, Eli has managed the audit.
My compliance team finished an ISO audit, so this is really hitting me where I live.
Very differently from us.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
As far as I can tell from my own sources, this means blackmail and bribery. However, Pratt is unlikely to even be present, and if he were, his methods are less subtle than Eli's. He would probably just end up effectively killing the auditors. He might simply torture them and let them go. Or they might escape. The whims of his methods are unpredictable. Even if I could count on his non-appearance by way of a delicately worded note to Marvin, this still leaves a body of staff having to face an actual audit who have never previously achieved compliance.
Needs a report, needs improvement, needs improvement, needs improvement.
No. It strikes me that I have a number of possibilities, and I was hoping for your advice.
I don't even know what a control is. Oh, God.
Ensure Pratt's non-attendance by way of Marvin to maximize auditor safety and let them do what they will. Consequence, we fail, some of our donors pull out, and either Pratt's family must pick up the slack, or some people who aren't me and therefore might be sad about it lose their jobs. Or worse, Pratt disposes of no longer needed employees his own way. 2. Ensure Pratt's non-attendance and then blackmail the auditors myself in Eli's absence. Consequence, only to my conscience. 3. Do nothing. Let Pratt be there or not to do as he chooses. Consequence, dead or tortured auditors that I could have prevented. Or if Pratt doesn't show up of his own accord, option 1. 4. Break Eli out of prison and make it his problem. The thing that's killing me about this is he has a legal pad on his desk with these. Yeah. Consequence, Eli is there again, and he is probably worse than Pratt. Plus, he'll be obnoxiously smug about it. He already thinks he's more important than he is, and I don't know how to emphasize to him that me not wanting to deal with an audit is an extremely low bar for needing him. All of these options sound awful. Option 2 currently sounds like it is the least awful to me, as I would aim to keep the blackmail to a minimal level, whereas Pratt or Eli prefer to maximize their torture. However, I am aware I may not be seeing this objectively. Have you any alternative suggestions? Thanks, Cult Guy.
Dear Cult Guy, my guy, my pal, my buddy, we're all friends here, right? You've been writing in for a while. We've said a lot to each other. We've exchanged comments. You've redacted police reports and medical files to prove that you're on the level, and I've hopefully provided you with trust. So I'm gonna be extremely blunt and say those are all terrible ideas. I appreciate in your current position, you may not see a way out. And sometimes when faced with multiple terrible ideas, we do genuinely have to choose the least worst option. But I think you need to do some very out-of-the-box thinking and find a non-bad idea. My out-of-the-box idea, are you sure that preparing for and complying with the audit is absolutely impossible? Depending on the professional standards required, you may be able to direct the auditors towards areas of improvement, highlight what does exist, and make some plans to correct any errors. I mean, that might be enough. If the requirements are more stringent, you may find you're able to hire an external contractor or 30 to come in and do the work for you while you continue the day-to-day. In addition, it sounds like this does impact the other departments, so you involve everyone and you rally together. Your idea about getting Marvin, though through his preferred communication channel, to manage Pratt and ensure his non-interference is a good one. It's managing up. If this audit truly is a risk to people's jobs or lives, it shouldn't be that hard to get buy-in from the other departments about their own areas of responsibility. Finally, arguably in a perfect world, if you're non-compliant, you'd fail. Especially if you're an organization of already dubious merit. However, if there is a genuine concern for at minimum jobs, and again, possibly lives, I think it's worth it to work on a pass. When the auditors are around, don't bullshit them. Don't get in their way if they want to see something or ask you something. However, don't panic and blurt out all of your misgivings and failings either. If something's not right, we're not ready, be calm, have an explanation or a plan to fix it. Or agree by when you will have a plan and make sure everyone who will interact with them is on the same page. Genuinely, they aren't looking to trip you up. That's not an auditor's job. They're just looking to assess the truth of the situation. So try and put your best foot forward.
Well, I don't know how to feel about the fact that doing my job as per job description simply didn't occur to me. It's been a long few years. I've called an all managers except Pratt meeting for later, and I've emailed Marvin telling him to A, keep Pratt away, and B, look out for a probable 4 to 5 figure budget request for some emergency external consultant.
I'm glad to hear it.
Jesus Christ, OP, how long have you got to prepare for the audit? 3 weeks? We might have to set some filing cabinets alight. Hopefully they'll accept we're in a transitional period due to the former head being in jail as a good excuse and or be so grateful to not be blackmailed. Do you think we can hire someone with diplomacy skills so I don't have to talk to the auditors?
You typically wouldn't phrase it like that, but the sorts of consultants I was thinking of would often be in the business during the audit to assess.
Oh, this might be the best news I've had in 3 years.
I don't think that this is something to be particularly proud of, you know?
You think? It doesn't exactly sound like he's defending it.
The guy asked Abigail about blackmailing someone in his email. I don't see why you're getting defensive on his behalf.
Look, he's obviously not in a great place right now.
And this is still a super weird side to come down on. There's bad place and there's drinking the Kool-Aid.
Cold guy, not to be like an ass, but blackmail? How the hell were you going to do that? And I can see how it's like easy to view it as the lesser of the two evils, but isn't that a pretty dark place? Line is no return for you personally? I've always got the impression you were kind of above all of the actual, culty bits of the cult. Have you? I'm sorry about that. I haven't been trying to portray myself as someone who is above it all. I'm very much a part of it, as much as I would love not to be. What would you choose of the above 4 options I presented?
Abigail gave you an easy solution. Your 4 options are all pretty fucked up.
She did, of course. She gave me a window to a normal job I don't always see, and I am thankful for that. I always am. The knowledge that there might be those we can hire to help us, or that we might band together to make it possible. It should be common sense, I suppose. But I don't work somewhere where the rules of common sense apply. Of course, we only have 3 weeks to prepare, and if we fail, I'll still have to choose between options 1 and 2 above. If you have an alternative solution that involves neither risk of death nor requires me to blackmail anyone, I would be extremely grateful to hear it.
Don't put this shit on me. I'm not the one in some fucked up cult.
No, I suppose not. I'm glad for you.
What does blackmailing them involve?
Isn't it obvious?
I mean, you've come to us with a moral problem. I think there's a pretty big difference between threatening to tell their spouse they're having an affair and kidnapping their children and holding them at gunpoint.
Good Lord. Most definitely the former. My organization traffics in secrets.
God, it's definitely fucking Scientology, isn't it?
Well, for what it's worth, this pseudo-anonymous commenter agrees that blackmail is better than risking death of your co-workers. Okay, right, okay. Thanks.
Jesus Christ, all of philosophy is just nothing to you, is it? You're just going to proclaim you've solved the trolley problem?
A, this is real life, not an arbitrary philosophical argument. B, this isn't the trolley problem. Google it. If OP has to actually choose them, I don't know, it seems like a shitty burden for him. Maybe I'm being too blasé, I don't know. I guess I'm lucky in that I'm not the one who has to be there.
Wouldn't it be better to just keep away? Like, he doesn't know people will die. Something bad might not even happen, for God's sake. He could be catastrophizing.
Marvin responded to my email. Not that he said anything other than agreeing to help keep Pratt away. He didn't even say, hope you're well, in return, actually. Nothing to make a fuss over, really.
Oh, buddy. One day. Oh boy. I think this is the last. Oh, no, there's 2 more in the chapter. There's 2 short ones left in the chapter. We can do it.
You want to go for the burn?
We've got time. Let's do it.
Feel the burn.
Update. What to do when your personal relationships at work get complicated. Today's email update is from Cult Guy, a bit of a frequent flyer around these parts, who has the dubious honor of having both his own nickname and his own tag. If you're not familiar with this story, please do make some time to read back from the beginning, as you'll need to.
Dear Abigail, I can't help but feel there's an I told you so coming from you or someone. I found a way to resign and leave the cult. It's not pretty, but it works. We could be free. And safe. Melody's already done it. Basima and Dahlia are too tied to each other, and our organization offers them certain protection from other things, and Marvin won't come with me. I don't know what to do. I can't go without him. I suppose I just have to stay until he's ready. I don't know when that will be. I suppose this isn't a question. Sorry. Kind regards, Cult Guy.
Dear Cult Guy, I'm sorry you're not in a great place right now. It's been abundantly clear for a while that your relationship with Marvin goes beyond the professional. And while my workplace vlogger self is screaming at me that feelings for coworkers is bad, I don't think there's any point in talking about that. The fact is, those feelings exist, and they're yours. I'm not a relationship guru. I can't tell you what's right for you and Marvin. I could recommend you talk to one, I suppose, but I know you'd have a lot of backstory to get through. From a simple workplace point of view, I think you should get out. You know the place where you work is toxic, dangerous, and potentially deadly. You've made references to Eli having a use for you within the cult structure of being a sacrificial lamb. You found a way to get out, and this may be your only window of opportunity to save your life. Please take it. Regarding Marvin, when someone has repeatedly established a boundary and asked you not to contact them, every bone in my body is telling me to tell you that you must not break that. However, if the situation is truly as you say, if Marvin is effectively being held prisoner by 2 cults, possibly vying for his loyalty, then I think you should leave the door open to him on your way out. Make sure he has your phone number. Set up a Facebook profile, leave him a note telling him so that he knows when he's ready. If he's ready, you'll be there. I don't know enough about how you two have left things off as to whether you could leave him references to deprogramming, therapist contacts, other support. If you're not there, don't push it. A line of communication is enough. But I am begging you, for your own sake, please get out without hesitation.
Oh man, OP, I'm so sorry.
God, this sucks.
Congratulations on finding a way out, though, and good for Melody. I hope Basima and Dahlia follow.
Yeah, no kidding. Cult Guy's explanation of why they're staying doesn't make any sense.
Remember, some people were speculating that Dahlia was secretly getting something out of the cult?
Cult Guy seems to think that was crap, though.
Did he? I don't remember him denying it.
Yeah, that's ace. I'm kind of terrified of what not pretty means, like from a guy who gets routinely stabbed at work, though.
Some cults, come after you, don't they? Or make it so no one ever talks to you again, or...
Jeez, no wonder he doesn't want to leave without Martin.
Thank you for your kind words. I will consider them, of course.
I'm pretty sure I know by now that means you're going to ignore everything I suggest, doesn't it?
There is a fair chance. I appreciate you spending the time to try and get me to do otherwise, nonetheless.
We'll get you out of there one day, bud.
One day. It'd be nice to think. Maybe I'll visit.
You got a spare room in Seattle? Well, a spare couch.
Thank you. I would like to believe I will, one day, take you up on that.
Update. A bit alarming / maybe good news? Cult Guy is a frequent emailer with his own tag. If you're not familiar with him, please do check it out. Or else this update won't make much sense. For everyone else, this came in earlier today, and I thought I'd better get it out quickly.
Dear Abigail, I don't know if this will be my last ever email. It might be. Marvin and I are running for it. We're not truly free, but things have happened quickly, and we're just in a short gap between portions of our journey. Eli is out of prison and planning something. I don't know when. It could be bad. If it happens, then I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. We'll try to do what we can to stop it. Thank you. Thank you for your help, and thank you to the commenters too. Look out for yourselves, please. Send your love to everyone who you do. Thanks, Cult Guy. Or am I? Maybe not forever. P.S. I love him. I told him already a dozen times, but I want to tell everyone, and there's nobody else I can tell right now. God, I love him so much, and he loves me too.
Sent from my iPhone. Dear Cult Guy, I do find myself hoping this is the last time I hear from you. I'll miss you and your bizarre and awful letters, but I hope that you get away from all of this, from the cults and the murdering bosses, and you're able to hide and stay hidden. And honestly, I hope that you never need the advice of a workplace blogger again. If you ever get to a place where you're safe and well and able to get online, you'll always be welcome in the comments, of course. Abigail.
Oh my God, Cold Guy might not be a cold guy.
I am literally thinking about buying champagne right now.
I'm so relieved. He sounded so defeated last time.
God, it's like I can breathe again.
Him and Marvin, though, I've been reading since 2017, and they were just cute friends, but then he was like, I fancy him, and I was instantly into it.
I've been here since the start, and he fucking hated that guy, lol.
No way. I went back, and he was always like, I don't hate him. I think he secretly fancied him right from the start and just felt weird about it.
Little bit weird about things here, guys. Cult Guy told us a lot about Marvin, but he never loved the speculation.
Score 1 point for workplace relationships, Abigail?
For every happily ever after running into the sunset, escaping your cult ending, I have 500 disaster endings in my blog archives. So no thank you. I will not be changing my mind here.
That's valid.
Honestly, it's easy to root for them now that they've run off, but God, imagine working with that.
Sounds like they haven't spoken for the best part of a year, so at least it hasn't been awkward in the office, too.
Give it up for Cult Guy!
Cult Guy and Marvin!
Cult Guy! Cult Guy! Cult Guy!
Cult Guy!
Hey, bud, if you ever see this, there's always Seattle. Fold-out couch, big enough for two.
So, is anyone else going to say anything about Eli is planning something, and I'm so sorry, and we'll try to stop it, or are we all just ignoring that part?
End of chapter. And they all lived happily ever after the end. Opal, how very dare you! I have to take a look at the next chapter and see what the very framing narrative is for this. Oh, very clever. Very well done. We'll get back to that. I'm not going to spoil anything. I will just put the link in the notes in the show chat if people want to read ahead for chapter 5, but very cleverly done. I like it. I like it. I like it. Very clever. Right. Let's talk about, oh my gosh, what could we talk about? Let's talk about next week. What's coming up next week? Yes, Opals, you are an incredibly talented writer, and I love your fix, but I'm also shaking you for that last chapter ending so clever, but very how dare you. You gave them an ISO on it. How very dare. Oh my God. Did that ever happen in the...
I don't believe so.
I don't think they ever had an audit in the podcast. I can't remember.
Peter was terribly excited about the spreadsheet, so I think Martin would have had to bust out the flow diagram to explain an audit.
Oh, yeah, for like the three of us in the chat who've been through an audit, how dare you? You are perfect, and I kiss you on the head. Oh, very well done. Also, how dare you? I need to go lie down after that. I'm verklempt.
I can see the back of your brain going, is my documentation in order? Do I have everything? Oh, shit.
Oh, you had an audit at work while you were right.
Oh,
of course you
Oh,
did.
my God.
Ooh, they never do they? They never had. Right, let's talk about what's coming up next week.
Oh, freaking all sorts. This coming Friday, the next issue of The Full Lid is out, which includes all kinds of good things, including some very useful and also fun resources regarding the WGA SAG-AFTRA strike.
Specifically, what we're trying to do right now is encourage and collate resources for fan communities and for fans who want to obviously support the strike actions, but who are not members or maybe even prospective members. And so a lot of the guidance that's been issued, obviously for those targeted populations, doesn't necessarily apply. So it's things like it's SDCC soon, and
it's SDCC now.
Is it this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like now, and like how should cosplayers react and things of that. Like what should film reviewers do in this new sense?
From that point of view, folks who do what I do basically keep doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
The interesting one, and this is one of those indicators of just how things have changed, is actual play streamers and influencers. And they kind of have to stand down. Influencers in particular, if they've been paid to talk about a product, that or a stream or a movie or whatever, that is considered breaking the strike, as near as I can tell. Mm-hmm. Likewise, there's an actual play that does predominantly IP-based tabletop, so they do Alien and Star Trek and all this stuff. And they've taken the choice to get out ahead of this and delay the finale of their current campaign, which is an Alien game, because they don't feel comfortable promoting it. So we're in this very interesting hinterland at the moment where the guidance is largely there and it's in the process of being communicated, but we've also got 2 or 3 industries that weren't there 10 years ago that are basically figuring out what they should be doing as they go.
Exactly. And I kind of zoned out through part of that because I was reading Opal's fic in advance, so I'm not even going to try to style it out.
Fine.
I'm just going to be honest.
That's absolutely fine. People zone out around me all the time.
The other thing that we've got going on is there will be a bonus issue of TFL that we're working on right now because people have been quite generous in supporting Alistair and he hit his goal and he watched the entire High and Low franchise while he had COVID and decided to review it.
There's so much of it.
Style.
So much of it.
I'm editing it. You're welcome.
I actually did some work on that today. There's like a back end on it now, and I cleaned up the stuff that you put in orange. Marguerite's favorite editorial color is orange. If something is orange, it's bad.
It's bad.
Bad.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's Friday. And then on Sunday, there have been 2 days worth of in-game conversation at the coffee shop about strange occult goings on.
And Officer Georgie seems in a bit over his head. Perhaps 1 pixel over his head.
So we're very hoping that some certain faceless animated gentlemen are going to make an appearance on this coming Sunday stream. But if Sunday morning doesn't work for you, there is always Valhalla. Help yourself, and you can catch up at your convenience.
Also, just a quick reminder that we're pretty sure they are going to show up, because Coffee Talk folks show up in Darkside Detective.
And because the April Fool's image they linked, I'm like, you did not animate all of that for an April Fool's. I know better than that. I disbelieve. Exactly. During our audits, most of our staff work from home, but in my job, in case the GDPR fic didn't make it, obviously expects me to know things about data.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
We are kindred spirits, Shiny. I appreciate that. And I think that's everything.
I think it is. By the next time we talk, I may or may not have seen Oppenheimer. We're going to wait for a week until Barbie.
All the showings are sold out.
The 9 a.m. is sold out.
The 9 a.m. showing is sold out. There's nothing. So as soon as we get the opportunity to watch Barbie, we are going to watch Barbie. Speaking of Valhalla, way to everyone there who's watching, including Enwich and Rebesco. Yeah, the 9 a.m. screening, Hawkeye. Yeah, there we go, right? I mean, I really want to see this movie for sure, but I can't right now. Let us not get into the whole, well, wait a minute, wasn't the whole moral argument against piracy that the people who were creating the things weren't getting any money? But if they're not getting any money anyway because of the studios, then where's your moral argument on piracy these days? And I will leave you with that emotional thing to grapple with.
I have something I'm working on about that.
Oh, really?
Just in the back of my brain.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yo ho ho indeed. Exactly. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, folks. This has, as ever, been a blast. We will see you on Friday, and then on Sunday, and then on Wednesday.
Yes, exactly.
In the meantime, I've been Alistair.
I've been Marguerite.
And this has been horrendously traumatizing, but in an extremely fun way.
In an extremely fun way. Exactly. We'll see you soon, everybody.